guys, this is Leah and welcome to the Good Old Days podcast. Last week we talked to Sheri about her early childhood, the importance of gathering, and Armenian food. And this week we will be talking about a little bit more about her personal life and the advice she has for us as young adults and going into the different decades of our lives. So if you haven't listened to the last week's episode, go ahead and listen to it. Otherwise, let's get into it. And we'll talk, of course, about what it looks like now looking back at your life. In what is considered to be retirement age, although now you're actually working.
Well, I have been actually working, but I get more chance to work.
Yeah. We'll talk about that and what it's like to look back. I think for people who are living through their 20s, 30s, 40s, for instance, I'm in the middle of my 20s and still have 5 more years, but it's just it seems like there's a theme already to this season of life. And I'm curious what that is for everyone, what was it like in your 20s? What was it like in your 30s? How did you view yourself, or how did you view the world, or what were you struggling with? What in your 30s, what are you looking back on in your 20s, and it wasn't as hard as it was in the moment, and you look back and you've come out of that struggle, whatever that may be, You can start thinking of those while we continue on. Let's talk about your going into marriage.
Okay.
Your wedding, first of all.
Oh, gosh.
Let me say, Sheri and Matt's wedding. Okay. Tim and I's wedding had how many people? 120. Matt and Sheri's had 500 people at their wedding.
It's true.
Not even exaggerating whatsoever.
The pastor, when he was marrying us, says, "Welcome to the West Coast version of the royal wedding." And it was. We kind of mirrored Diana and Charles by 4 months. Yeah, they got married and then we got married. They had a baby, we had a baby.
Oh my gosh,
we were just doing
funny.
all this. I had her haircut.
You're matching them. That's funny.
It was funny.
And you had 500 people. And well, first of all, just going into getting married, you guys were engaged for how long?
We were engaged for a year, officially. Okay. Yeah.
But you had been trying to get engaged for how long? A long time.
That's kind of okay. Matt did ask me 3 different times to get married, and it was on the 3rd time that I acquiesced, and I wrestled with it because he was different.
Yeah. Why were you wrestling with that?
So on paper, I was, quote, supposed to be marrying a pastor or a businessman. I had been groomed. I had, I was intelligent. There was just certain expectations that would have made sense on paper for me to be marrying. And Matt didn't have any of those sorts of aspirations. As a matter of fact, he didn't really know what he was going to
be a priest for a quick second.
When I first started dating him, he was going to be a priest, which is probably why I started dating him, because he was safe, I was like, oh, this guy's going to be a priest. That's good. He's not going to bother me, Yeah. So, and that changed for him as we dated. He said, actually, I'll rethink this priesthood thing. I think I like this girl. Yeah. So, but for me, there was something really vital. I had the intellectual bits about God. I knew verses, I knew truths, but he said he knew the experiential aspects of God and life as God loves me. God is love. He's this is not, he wasn't choked by all the rules and restrictions that I had packed on my shoulders.
Yeah, different experiences.
So, it was. Sure. And so I needed his balance, and he actually needed my aspects too, to be honest. And so I began to realize, oh, this is different. How could I live with, I'd been acquainted with other guys who were studying to be a pastor or whatever, and there's nothing against that. I just knew that there was something missing in my life that I wanted to be different, and I wanted a vitality. I remember early on dating him, and I'd read The Velveteen Rabbit for the first time, a children's book.
Okay.
And it's about a little stuffed animal that ends up becoming real because of the love of his owner. Sorry, spoiler alert. So anyway, but I read that book and I went, I don't know what's wrong, but I'm not real. And I don't know why, but I'm not real. And I want to be real. And I knew it was going to take being loved, truly loved. And I didn't realize till this point in my life that it meant being loved by me.
Yeah, now you're realizing that?
Loved and accepting me. That I'm probably the biggest player in that.
Yeah.
But Matt would have laid down his life for me. He always has. You know, if I was like stressed, he'd come in the middle of the night, come to meet me at school and say, talk to me through things. He'd talk to me for hours. I mean, he just really, he was always there for me, selfless. Yeah.
And clearly very in love with you.
Very in love with me. I mean, he is the emotional part of this relationship. Yeah. And I've come to terms with that. I used to think, yes, I shouldn't be this way or whatever. It's like, it is. Shouldn't whatever means nothing. But it is. And in some ways, it's like, I looked at him, he was tearing over a daughter not being able to be at a holiday with our family. And I said, you know, it's good. She's in a good place. It's all good. And he says, I know, but I can still be sad. And it's like, I looked at that and it's like, oh, you're right. I'll appreciate your sad.
Yeah, like let you sit in that.
Yeah, let him sit, but not just for him, but it was a gift to me.
Yeah.
It's like, I can appreciate the sad too. There is a sad bit. I am super happy for the situations that she's in, and you know what? There is a little bit of sad that comes with that on a personal level for us. You know, so and it's okay to acknowledge that.
Yeah.
So. Yeah,
he's the more emotional of the two. He is
definitely. Yes, definitely.
He got a little emotional on our podcast.
Did he?
Yeah, but good
about good things. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, about his dad and stuff. So that was that. I mean, I even said we might need tissues for him.
Oh, that was the divinely gifted time for him to make peace with his dad, and nobody knew his dad was going to die so quick.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Definitely.
What a game changer. We don't know how long we have with people, and you can make peace with them quickly. You have a happier life.
Yeah, so. You'd be surprised how not easily, but quickly you can, you
can
make peace with someone.
Yeah, because a lot of it has to do with how you choose to have the perspective you choose to have on yourself and the other person.
Yeah.
So
true.
Yeah.
So you got married at your 500-person wedding.
Yes.
Took you how long to greet everybody?
Well, we had to stop because it had gone for so long. The receptionist was at my parents' house, and so we were standing at the front door, and so people couldn't get back to the party without greeting us.
This was like going into the reception?
Yes, going into the reception. So the church was about a half an hour away. Then they drove to my parents' home, and we're walking through the house to get to this thing. And honestly, it was taking way too long. So we honestly stopped.
The food too, like how much food?
Okay, so back in the day, this is a nostalgic thing. Very few people had a full sit-down dinner. Like that, just nobody did that.
Yeah.
At least nobody in my circles. And I had a decent sorts of like traveling
appetizers?
Circles. We had most commonly was cake and punch and coffee.
Yeah.
And like little mints or something like that. But then like mine was like, I would say a little step up in that we had appetizers. So we had, actually it was kind of funny because the guy that my sister was dating at the time worked for KFC, and I don't know if it came up with my husband, but he loves chicken. And so
fried
we said,
chicken.
well, yeah, so maybe we could have chicken.
It.
And it's like, oh, that's so expensive. And how are you going to have all those wings? Because nobody served them separate back then. They were always connected. The two meaty pieces of a wing were always connected. And so he said, well, what if I cut the wings in half and then they'll go farther? And it was like, now we only serve it that way. Whoa. I wonder if he got a cut from anybody for his grand idea.
One of those 500 people took that
idea and said, we got to run with
the
this.
Odds of that happening. That's so funny.
So we did have fried chicken wings. Yeah,
that's
good.
Definitely on brand for him to have that at your wedding.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now it's full meal, dessert.
Yeah. Nobody thinks not
drinks,
having that.
Cake.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I like a good old In-N-Out truck.
Well, you know what? That's so cool because you have to have a minimum to get the In-N-Out truck, which means you can go and get a 3x3 if you want. You know, there's no doubles, triple if you want, or whatever.
I think that they only do singles for the In-N-Out trucks.
Serious?
Yeah, I don't think they do double doubles.
Well, that has changed.
Oh, you've done it?
Well, because when my nephew got married and they had an In-N-Out truck, and
you ordered?
We got to say I want a double.
I think they have them
But that was a long time ago.
I don't know. So I'm not sure.
Well, it would make sense, right?
I don't know.
But yeah.
Well,
and I'm always sad they don't have the fries. They give me a bag of chips
on
the truck.
What?
I know.
I'm here for the fries. I'm not even here for the burger. No, I'm here for the burger. I'm definitely here for the burger.
Do you like animal fries? Are you an animal fries girl?
Or just the cheese fries.
Just the cheese fries.
Or just the fries. The fries are great.
Yeah.
Okay, so wedding.
Yes.
And then you end up getting pregnant with your first child.
Yes,
6 weeks in.
6 weeks in.
Not planned, I'm sure.
We were on natural birth control.
Okay.
I have nothing to speak against that except that you might get pregnant.
Yeah, except you got pregnant 6 weeks in.
There you go. It's probably not the optimum choice for newlyweds, but there you go. Yeah, so actually that was kind of a little miracle that morning that he had to run off to work after our little encounter, and we were supposed to be in a safe zone, but it wasn't safe as far as not getting pregnant in the actuality of it. And it was one of the times that I really felt like God spoke to me. It's really definitive for me. It's like I was laying there in bed and it was like, I'm pregnant. I knew I was.
Like you knew?
I knew.
Whoa,
I was.
That's crazy.
That never happened to me again. I was like, I'm pregnant. And it's like, oh God, I wanted a year.
Yeah.
I didn't want to get pregnant so quickly. And I felt in my heart the answer of, are you okay that she's born now? Are you willing that she be, and the adjective she was used, that she be born now? And I went, of course, of course. Life is from you, of course.
And she was
I want her, and she was a she.
Wow.
And
you knew.
There was, girl. I mean, so it's like, how could I have known? It's like, I'm not that insightful. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it was like, I think it was God's grace to me to just prepare me a little bit. Because I hit the ground running, you know? So, I worked to the last day before I delivered, and that was it.
Oh, my gosh.
So
where'd you work?
I worked at a Christian bookstore in Pasadena called Christian Corner.
Okay.
I was the music buyer at the time. That was really fun. I got to be at the beginning of Amy Grant's career. So I got to see all of her records. We were just listening
to her Christmas album.
So good. So good. She's just an amazing, genuinely wonderful human being. So
and then you had Chelsea, and then you ended up having 5 more.
Okay, so I have a little story on, since you kind of like Christmas stuff. Our second child was I think his actual due date was December 11th, if I'm not mistaken.
We actually
did we talk about this? Did he tell the story?
In the Christmas episode we just did, that
so
he was early.
He ended up, I went into labor with him early, and he was born on the holiday that my husband and I invented for our marriage. We wanted something to feel like our family, so we invented December Day. And then on December the 1st, we'd get together and we'd have a breakfast. We invited my parents, and we just celebrated and thanked God for bringing his son, for all the giving that was going to happen, that has happened, for just how blessed we were, and just to kind of mark it. And then because we had no ornaments, we gave everybody present and ornament. And then that would kind of start how we would fill our tree.
Oh, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I have ornaments throughout the years.
Do you?
Yeah, each of us, me and my brothers, we would get one ornament. So I have like 2 full bags of ornaments. So our little 2-foot tree has
all
full.
Those ornaments. Well, if you want, Tim has some of those ornaments too. He just hasn't. They haven't been dispersed. So if you're needing a little more ornaments, let me know. Okay.
Yeah. No, we don't. Unless we get a bigger tree. We have 2 trees.
Your tree is very cute.
Yeah.
Are the cats leaving it alone? That's what I want to know.
It's in our room, so they are not allowed to be near it.
So they have to leave it alone.
But they come in sometimes and they'll mess with it, and scream at them because
I know.
And we're just trying to associate anything near that tree as like we are gonna yell or spray you. Like, don't even get near the tree.
You guys are cutting your teeth with these cats.
I
tell you.
I saw something where these people took out their fake tree, and they were like, the way to get your cat not to, like, you know, destroy the tree is to make them scared of it. So they started like chasing them with the tree.
Oh, that's not a bad idea.
I know. And the cat was terrified, but they said the cat never messed with the tree again. So I'm like, maybe. Well, I kind of started doing that with our little fake tree because we have a little fake one. So I was like chasing them, but they still knocked it down.
Oh, your cats are very playful.
They're psychos. They're psycho cats. Anyway, so going into having, you know, 6 children.
Yes.
I'm sure every single one was, you know, it must be obviously kind of wild adding, you know, a new kid.
Yes.
First you had just one, just Chelsea, just you and Chelsea, and then another, and then another, and another, and another. But like, what did that look like throughout the years of you, you know, as a mom, very quickly into marriage, and then having to raise these kids, and then you decided to homeschool them?
Yeah.
So just give me a summary of all of that,
of what
the years throughout the kids, because your oldest was also a teenager when you had your youngest.
Sometime you should see somebody filmed us telling them that we were pregnant with
Oh my
Tim.
Gosh.
We didn't know it was Tim at the time.
Yeah.
And the especially the chagrin on the older two.
Oh my gosh.
It was like, you're still doing that?
Like
a little bit of
kid.
that and a little bit of angry. It's like, there's not enough space right now.
We don't have space for this.
Where are we going to do this?
Yeah.
You know, a little bit of that.
That's so funny.
Of course, that is all quickly forgotten. I was, not that it was Tim, of course. I didn't know it was Tim. I didn't think I was going to have so many kids, honestly.
Really?
My husband just had to touch my elbow and I would be pregnant. So it felt pretty much close to that. So
Tim's like, please stop, Mom.
It was like, and I am of the persuasion that life is from God. So it's like, you welcome it, you celebrate it. And that doesn't mean like it didn't require something for me to say, Lord, you need to expand my heart here because I need more energy, more whatever it's going to be. So actually, let's see, where do I want to go with this story? I could talk about Tim's birth. I don't know if I should talk about Tim's birth. But the bottom line with Tim, maybe to summarize how that went, is that in labor, he was kind of stuck. I was having a natural childbirth. He was kind of stuck. And I went over in the corner at one point in time, was on all fours, and was just praying. It's like, Lord, I don't have any more to give here. I have nothing more to give. And what rose up in me was that song, God Will Make a Way Where It Seems There Is No Way. And that was just a mantra, and it settled my soul. And it wasn't just about delivering him. It was about the rest of my life as being a mom at that point. God found so many ways to make a way for me, whether it was change in me, whether it was change that people came and offered help, or supplies, or we have so many like little miracle stories of different ways God showed up to provide for that. It was a wild and crazy ride. The first child is like turns your world upside down, because as much as anybody has read a book, has observed somebody else about how to be a parent, you just don't even know what that looks like, until you're a parent. You just don't. Like, you couldn't have imagined about the cats, but now you're living with the cats. It's like, oh my goodness, I had no idea, right? So it's changes. And then when you get 2, you have one for each hand, basically. You've heard maybe that illustration. It's like, okay, you got this one, you got this one. Okay, we're managing, we're figuring it out, right? By the time you add 3 or anything subsequently,
you're outnumbered.
You're completely outnumbered. So you just completely dive in. At least for me, I just completely dived in. It's like, I'm doing kids.
Kids are my thing now.
You know, it's interesting. My daughter, my oldest daughter, my very wise older daughter, said at one point in time, because somebody was lamenting.
She has 5 kids.
She has 5 kids, yeah. And she was saying, somebody was lamenting, it's like, well, this just doesn't feel like me. I don't think I should be having to do this or that or the other thing. And she said, listen, I have a lot of facets that make up me.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't get to present them in every circumstance. I present the facet of me that best suits the situation. She says, right now I'm presenting the facet of me that is the mom of 5 children and the wife to my husband and a business partner. She says, I was running police departments before. I was doing all this. I have a strong business sense, but this isn't the time to show that facet of me. Did that facet of me disappear? No. There will be time for that coming. But right now, let's focus on what's important and do that well.
Yeah.
Don't divide because then you won't shine as bright. When a light is shining on a diamond, if you focus it right, the light directly on that facet, it shines really bright. If you're trying to split that light between a couple different facets, you're just a little divided in that glow, aren't you?
Yeah.
So, it's okay. We've got lots of different pieces. We're very diverse people.
Yeah.
None of us have just one strength or whatever. And, life, you get usually many opportunities to present lots of different parts of yourself.
Yeah,
so
in different
seasons. Stress out.
Yeah,
don't stress out. If one is maximizing, a season is maximizing a certain part of you and another part of you is having to be on the back seat, it's okay.
Yeah.
There's time for all of it.
Yeah, like at the beginning of, I think, going into like the beginning of your career, or you're going to be focused on that, and then
as you
going into being a mother, you might want to just be focused on that,
as you should be. As you should be, and taking care of yourself in the process.
That's very important too.
I didn't do that very well.
Yeah.
So, but I'm learning.
I'm
learning how to do that better.
You start to learn that a little later when you're not 100% focused on motherhood. Now, though, you're a grandparent.
I am.
And so you still have little ones running around.
I love it.
Little different.
It is different. And you feel different in the equation as a grandparent than you did as a parent. It's a different level of, when I say responsibility, just in the shaping sense, you're aware that you are not the primary influencer. So you can just come alongside and just offer the influence you have, because you love these kids. You're going to love them in a way that no other second-tier person is going to, because they're your blood, right? So you want the best for them. So you're able to come and step in with as big a swing as you can, you know? And so that's really nice. And also, in looking at the parents, it's like, I really know what it feels like to be raising kids. And a lot of kids for a lot of time.
And your kids. And how to help them.
Well, and they don't always want help, or they don't want to have the sort of help I want to offer, or whatever. So there's a little dance too, because you need to let them have their autonomy in the situation. But I certainly have compassion for like throwing a party and having 6 kids and what that feels like. And so I knew that I would have appreciated any help that came my way. So I'm willing to offer help if somebody's throwing a party, especially if they have kids, to know, because I know there's a lot to manage. So I'm really happy to come along and help. So
what was it like becoming a grandparent for the first time?
It's amazing. Honestly.
That was 15 years ago.
15 years ago, my oldest grandson is
now you
15.
have 7 grandchildren.
7.
Crazy. Crazy.
It's just so fun. So fun to see different aspects of your kids reflected in the grandchildren.
How they look like them, and then their personality.
And you have better perspective. Like when they're your children first time around, it's like, it's easy to want to micromanage all the bits so that they can grow up to be a great human being, and from my vantage point now, it's like, oh, this will all unfold without my inner stress, quite nicely.
It's not wholly your responsibility.
It's not wholly my responsibility, and so much is gained by just a steadiness of who you are as a parent that you offer to the kids. So anyway, it's easier to see that now.
You don't see it in the middle of it all. And now you have 7 grandkids, which is
really wonderful,
crazy. And I asked the question of like, what was it like the first time you became a grandparent, like with your first one? And now I feel like after that, it's probably just like, another one.
No,
or are you
that
intentional?
Way. Oh, it never feels that way.
It being different every time, you know?
So kind of a little side, like really lovely thing for me is that it's only been my daughters that have had children so far, and they have welcomed me in their birthing spaces. Oh my gosh. To be able to watch and revere what's going on in that sacred moment is amazing.
Yeah.
To witness a life. I mean, obviously I was on the birthing end of it for 6 times, but you're in another place.
Yeah.
It's
different.
You're very
the one
different.
Who's giving birth.
Yeah. So now it's like you have all the feels, and it's like just so celebratory to see a new little life come in.
Yeah.
So I've actually been in the births of 6 of the 7 kids,
Crazy.
and the one wasn't allowed because of COVID. So
wild.
But she's still here.
Yeah. Little Gemma? Is that
little
Gemma?
Gemma,
oh, little Gemma. We share a birthday.
Yes, you do.
Same birthday.
Yeah.
Okay, so going into, just life now.
Yeah.
What is life now for you? I mean, I feel like the different stages of life, there was motherhood.
That never leaves you.
Of course, yes, of course.
No, I was just going to clarify. I remember being pregnant when one of my colleagues, she was at my wedding, and then, I'm announcing to everybody a couple months in, because I waited a few weeks to tell them that I was pregnant. She says, "Do you realize you're going to be a mother for the rest of your life?"
And you're like,
and she said that. I was like, you're right.
Yeah.
That sounds so ominous like that. But it's true. You never really stop feeling like a mom. There's a connection that you will always have internally, spiritually.
Yeah.
You share something spiritually with these kids that it's hard to explain how
you're tied to them.
How passionately
your soul
you feel.
Is tied to them.
Your soul is tied to them. I mean, I'm a pretty calm person, but somebody messes with my kids, and honestly, I become this mama bear. That's like, whoa, it's so not even in my personality in any other regard, except you mess with my kids, and it's like, I have to talk myself down off the ledge. So,
don't mess with Sheri.
Don't mess with my kids. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So yes, of course, motherhood never ends.
Sure.
But that season of the
intensity.
Kids,
yes.
Yeah, intensity.
Yes.
And that ended when Tim left, probably.
Yeah.
Which was when you went to college, right?
Well, sadly, yes.
Sorry, I took him away from you.
Well, no, well, he had a different journey than the other kids, and that when he went to college, I think he stepped into an adulthood of sorts, or his own space of sorts. That it was like he didn't feel like he didn't want to be part of the family. It didn't feel like, I'm done with this place. At least I didn't feel that way. It just felt like he was ready to step into his life.
Somewhere else too.
Yeah, but I had imagined that the ongoing presence of that would continue for another 4 years. And so it was like sooner than I expected.
Yeah, you're like,
I don't know if Tim, though, if you remember this. Because it was hard to get my mind around that he wasn't coming home for summer, and then he wasn't coming home for this, and he wasn't coming home for that. And it was like, that's so sad. And is it our fault? And is it good? Is it bad? All these things, right? Then I recall it being for no reason, and I don't know if that was the true fact. You might remember the true fact, but he surprised me with a willow tree figurine with a mother holding her son, like adolescent son, right? And I knew all was right in the world. There, you might get a little tear out of me.
We got her.
No, it was like, it's okay.
Yeah.
He's not saying it with his words.
Yeah.
But he just said he bought this thing with his own money and wrapped it and gave it to me, like, that said, I'm always going to be part of your heart and your life. And it was like, okay, you
Those
go
are
fly.
The little mom nuggets.
You go fly.
Aww.
Yeah. Because that's what you want as a mom. You want your kids to soar. You want them to feel like they can grow where they're planted, wherever that is. And some kids take longer than others for that. I don't care. It doesn't really much matter. Just want them to be able to feel like they have the freedom to be who they are, wherever that is. So.
Yeah.
And then come back and see me.
Yeah. And then visit often still.
Visit me often.
Yeah. We love visiting you. So.
Yeah.
And yeah. So right now you're in a different season, you know?
It is.
You're not in the intense motherhood.
It's it's funny for
still
us.
Motherhood.
It's a difference because the mother pieces don't feel so hard to me, or grandmother pieces, because I have those motions of how to do that down pretty well.
Ingrained.
What's the harder thing is that my husband retired 1 year earlier than we thought, in COVID year. He's a teacher teaching music. It's a hard time to be a music teacher.
Yes.
So he was gifted a early retirement package. He took it. So now here's this man with all this life and creativity and producing shows. And it's like, and he's in my living room. It's like, and he's putting up lights, and he's taking decorations. That's like, whoa.
This is my space.
We have a little system that's been going on here for about 40 years. You haven't been around for most of it. I just kind of need you to, we'll try to sync up on the same page. Yeah, but you're bringing a lot of energy here.
Yeah, so. Because your main space was your home, and you had a system down, and his main space, many systems, and his main space was the school, and he had many systems there. So now you're in the same spot, which is so interesting. It's like you're back to where you started.
We're back to the ground that we didn't get when we started.
True.
Because he was going to school full time and working full time when we got married. So he and he wasn't working as a teacher yet. He was working at the phone company, 411 operator, which used to be information back in the day. So we are having literally couple time, just two of us. That we've never had. We've never had, yeah. So now we've got 40 more years under our belt since the last time we really had a couple time, right? So we're needing to find new ways to accommodate each other and have space. I feel like it's not fair in a home situation if both people can't win. It can't be one way or the highway. That's not nice. He has to have a safe space to be in our home too. On the other hand, if his way is so dominant that I no longer feel like it's a happy, safe place for me, that's not good either. So you need to find compromises.
It needs to be your spaces.
A shared. And so
shared space and your own space.
So we're working to find commonalities. We're very different by nature. So and this has been of course a little bit through the years anyway, but just he loves baseball, he loves the Dodgers, he loves USC, and so all these sorts of things. So those are things that he really appreciates when I share with him. And I am learning to find what are the things that I want to bring him into my aspects of my world, because I have cultivated more of that independent sort of spirit, because he wasn't home. He would leave early mornings and become home late at night. So I had to forge a life that wasn't dependent on any particular emotional pieces or social pieces or whatever related to how he went. So we're working on that. Actually, we're making some good headway in coming up with new things that we can do together, and ways we can enjoy life. So we're going to do some traveling. We've been doing some traveling. We're going to take...
Oh, yeah, you're leading a team.
We're going to tour of people going to Ireland, Scotland, and England. And that's been a really nice gift that he's given me through the years, is the ability to do some traveling. Yeah. So he loves it, and he likes to step into...
Get to start going places. It's a little different. Yeah. It's so interesting, because I feel like actually that can be pretty common if, you're a stay-at-home mom, working as a mother. It's definitely work.
Thank you.
And it's definitely a lot of work. And then it's like your kids are gone, and then it's like just you and your husband again. And whether you had a lot of time at the beginning or you didn't, it's like, oh wait, now we've been through life together, And now we have to refigure it out together because we've kind of been living a little bit separately in our own spaces for all those years.
Well, you think about frequencies, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know, if you hit tone an A, it has a certain vibration frequency. If you tone a D, it has a different frequency, right? And so where those wavelengths hit each other nicely, those are great commonalities that you can have. But there's a lot that's different too. So you can either make harmony together, you can enjoy the shared things that actually work really well together, or you can do separate things together too. And they're all variations on a theme that actually play to make a beautiful melody. There we go.
There you go.
How's that for that illustration?
Brought it back.
But I think you need a little bit of all of it. You know, we've done best if he's finding some independent things that he can do, that I'm doing some independent things that bring me life, and then we do shared things together, both as a couple and then with other couples.
Yeah.
So,
that's
good.
great.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's get into wrapping this up. That was so much, Sheri. You were scared we weren't going to get to an hour. She's like, so like 30 minutes? I was like, no, we're going to talk way longer. So, yeah, you're obviously in a new season of life. Like, it never ends, these new seasons of discovering things and discovering new things about yourself. You said you're especially in that type of time where you're realizing who you were as a child and trying to discover new things that you're passionate about, all that stuff. But for advice for the listeners, you can take a second to think about this. But for your 20s, what's some advice you have for people right now in their 20s listening to this podcast?
You know, I think it's interesting to look at kids in their 20s, kids, but that's, sorry, I mean, no disrespect by that. It's just my vantage point. Young people in their 20s, there's a whole lot of different ways to manage life and to manage life. And I think some commonalities from when I was growing up is that it wasn't we didn't think it was necessarily very important to take care of ourselves. That duty and responsibility were probably the first things that you do. And whether it was duty to a career or duty to your marriage and children or whatever. And it was very easy for you to take the second seat. And I think I've noticed a trend of maybe more healthful thinking of 20-somethings being able to value themselves along the way and give soul care. And I mean in the nicest senses, things that actually really feed you, not the things that are just you're dissociating and checking out from reality. Although sometimes there's a place for that, you know, gaming
TV,
or whatever. Or,
gaming, social media, but like what actually feeds your soul.
Feeds your soul, like a walk in a park or nature. Those take a little bit more intentionality, but what it gives you is so much more. I remember when I was 25, I remember waking up one day and I said, I'm a woman. I actually feel like a woman. And there was a maturity that felt in that. And I don't know if that's a commonality of timing or whatever. I have felt like there's been a lot of personally swimming upstream for most of the decades of my life. And some of that's just the nature of the baggage that I brought with me that I didn't know how to resolve. So, I mean, in that regard, some of that will probably still be true for some people, where it feels hard. And I did a lot of things to help that not be hard. Sometimes it's talking to friends and get wise people around you. I would say,
surrounding yourself
whatever
with
the
people.
decade, maybe I have less decade-specific things and more or less life things. It's like you got to get a posse of people around you who love you, who are willing to actually not just like tickle your ears with the things you want to hear, but call you out for things that you may not want to hear, but because they love
help you grow as a person.
Exactly. You want to do that, and you need it. You need the support of that, you know? People who can be there for you, really be there for you. So I would say that's good. And I would say to cultivate things that actually make you come alive, whatever that is. Whether, I mean, I had a season where I felt I was going to lose my mind for a bit. And I played the piano almost nonstop. And I had 2.5 years of, probably 3 and 4 years of piano under my belt. So I knew the rudimentary stuff, but just then to just let my heart soar into playing was so cathartic.
That outlet.
You need an outlet. Yeah, something. And it helps ground you back into you. And so I would say that's
not
a really good thing.
Not escaping reality, but it's like something that kind of feeds what your heart needs.
Exactly.
You know?
Really. And sometimes it's painting, and sometimes it's playing an instrument or singing or dancing, but usually it's something a little tactile, you know. So I would strongly, if you don't have that, try to just keep your eyes open for something like that brings life to you. And then, you know what? Good old cup of coffee with a friend has never done bad for me.
There you go.
You know, something
coffee
about
dates,
that. Coffee dates,
food.
And make that, you
that
know.
one friend that you can go to coffee with.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's...
Or more.
Yeah, or more. I read a quote once that said, some friends are good for shopping, some friends are good for coffee, some friends are good for pouring your heart out to. Just, I'm paraphrasing. But it's like, actually, it was life-changing for me. It's like, no one friend is going to be the penultimate version that you need in your life, as you're not for them either. You know, so it's good to spread that out a little bit and glean from your friendships the things that you were meant to glean for each other, you know. You all have different gifts and ways that you can be a strength to each other, and so like find those people that are wanting to
go through life with you,
and to be on a pilgrimage, you know,
and that actually help you grow. That's one thing that's important.
It's true.
The friends that are kind of helping you step up a little bit.
Cheering you on, you know, because guess what? Life is hard. That doesn't need to be a bad thing. It's like we become our best selves when we choose into the hard, you know, and decide to step up to the challenge, to let ourselves be changed and bettered because of it. It's like there's something amazing that comes, that you're transformed, you know. Like, I mean, if you can mix all the ingredients for an amazing bread, your artisan bread, right? But if you don't put that in the oven and bake it a bit and have it be uncomfortable in that temperature, it's going to be a bunch of blob in the bowl, right? But something about the proofing and the kneading and the time and then the cooking, the baking produces an amazing thing that you enjoy, that the world around you gets to enjoy. It's worth it. And sometimes a little hard feels like the end of the world. But honestly, you got the stuff in you to keep going, you know? So
that was good, Sheri. That was wise.
You inspired me. You inspired me with your bread.
Oh, yeah, my bread.
Your bread.
Sourdough.
Oh, man, she posts pictures of bread. Looks so good.
Yeah, I need to make some more.
I know.
Gotta bring it back. Well, thank you so much for coming, Sheri.
Well, it's really
that was
nice
so
you
good.
had me. Thank you.
Final question. Do you feel like you're going to look back and think that right now is the good old days?
You know what? I think I finally have the chance to feel that for the first time. Actually, I don't know that I have a season in my life where I would say, oh, that was the good old days. There was a simplicity of life when you have children that are young enough that you're all moving in the same direction. That was kind of a good old days. You didn't really realize that, but it was because
you don't realize it in the moment.
I was dictating, we're all doing this, we're all doing that. You're dressing like this, you're, you know, whatever. And then you grow up and you get personalities and they grow up and they're going this place, that place. And it's like you don't have that ability to shape that. And so, so then that's a change, right? It's part of the empty nest syndrome. It's like, oh, I thought I had control.
Wait,
what a crazy idea.
What a concept. So so I think I will, because you know what? I think for the first time in my life, maybe, I'm really able to begin owning me for the good and the bad and the ugly. It's like, this is what I am, and I'm continuing to want to grow and change and develop. But for today, I want to show up. I want to show up and just live my life. And you're taking some chances by coming into this podcast.
You know what? I'm a little impressed with myself.
Out of your comfort zone.
It was out of my comfort zone.
Well. Yeah. Oh my gosh, this is definitely a good one. Okay, cool. Well, thanks so much, Sheri.
Thanks, Leah. I'm so excited for this
adventure. Say bye to our listeners. Bye, guys.
Bye.